How's it going, everyone? Nick from Comic Culture here. Time for Nick at Night, my weekly comic book review show. Let's get into the books I read this week. Going to start over in DC with Batman 138, continuing that Chip Zdarsky run. And if you liked the last issue where the Bat family's all at each other's throats right now, everyone's teaming up against Batman because they are kind of siding with Catwoman on this whole philosophy of, hey, what if we reform a lot of these criminals? They're going to start doing maybe some more lower level petty crimes, but against the rich elite, getting them off the streets, relieving like the innocent bystander variable in that equation. And maybe that's like as good as it gets, right? But Batman sticking to his morals, sticking to his principles, trying to eliminate crime, I guess, completely in general. I don't know what's going on. Damian, his only ally in this book, is actually teaming up with Batman against all the other Bat members and Bat family members, and Selina is just trying to do whatever she can do to get on Bruce's radar, get him to come to reason. There's a lot of really cool battles in here involving Robins and Batgirls and Batman and all kinds of stuff. So I'm not going to spoil some of these pages. Just know that it's a crazy ride. I'm loving every minute of it. And I'm just totally digging the whole idea and dilemma that the entire family is under right now. And we get some really cool, just amazing artwork by Jorge Jimenez on this. So yeah, I'm totally digging Batman right now. There's also a lot of Randall Savage stuff in here too, a little bit of backstory with him, like kind of where he came from and everything. So if you're not too familiar with the character, it goes over briefly a little bit about him and how he got to where he is and things like that, the different people he had to meet along the way. A little backstory in here for that. It's awesome. Check it out. X-Men issue number 27. Just kind of spot checking this one at the moment. I didn't read the last couple. I think the last one I read was the one that immediately followed the Hellfire Gala, where just all hell broke loose. And so I'm just trying to see where we are. Phil Noto apparently is on the art for this. I recognize that immediately. And we get some more Shadowcat stuff. She's actually realizing where these mutants are being held right now, being detained. She has a cool conversation with Juggernaut. She finds some other people as well. And we get to learn a little bit about Juggernaut's fate at the towards the end of this issue. The other part of this issue is basically a touch base with the Fantastic Four. We have like X-23 Wolverine, and we have Rasputin, and we have Miss Marvel going over to get some information from Reed Richards, because there was a part of his memory that Professor X and Magneto eliminated related to the X gene and how to conceal it, because I guess he figured it out. And so there's a really cool moment right here between Rasputin and the Fantastic Four, especially with the Thing. And then maybe some threats and whatnot from Mr. Fantastic and Sue Storm, which I thought was pretty cool. I like the way that they interact. It's pretty funny. And they come to some realization about like, okay, how do we get around these Sentinels, these amazing Sentinels that are going around just detecting the mutant X gene. And so they come to some realizations here. Interesting things. It's more interesting than some of the other Fantastic Four stuff that I've been reading so far. But this is a pretty cool issue. Not a whole lot happens, just a lot of cool, funny moments. It kind of pushes us in a new direction, gives us a little bit of hope perhaps, but also introduces a few threats with some of the mutants that are being detained. So pretty cool book. What do you guys think? Then speaking of Fantastic Four, we have Fantastic Four issue number 12, and I was really on the fence for the first 3 or 4 issues of this one. I kind of fought my way through it. I eventually dropped this. We're on issue number 12 already. I can't believe that. I must have read it a little bit further than I thought I did. And then I'm like, you know what? Frank Miller cover, we're going to jump in here and see what's going on. And I got to admit, I made it as far as where there's a dinosaur team dressed like the Avengers. And there was like a Captain America one and an Iron Man one. And I'm like, okay, are we fighting dinosaurs right now? Like in another dimension somewhere? I mean, as cool as that might end up being, I was like, dude, I'm just not in the mood for this right now. I can't do it. So Fantastic Four, you guys reading it? What do you guys think? All right, the next Marvel book we read this week was Marvel G.O.D.S issue number 1 from Jonathan Hickman. And I love this issue. It was so great. If you're worried about jumping into here because of the latest Ultimate series that just ended, and you think it's going to be a little bit more like that, this was nothing like that, and it reads and feels a lot more like a Hickman book, in my opinion. And so I've been digging this one a lot. We understand who this character is when we were introduced to this character back in the Hellfire Gala issue. He was just kind of chilling at the bar, but he's been around forever. He knows everybody. Everybody knows him. It's just one of those characters that Hickman created where he's just well versed. He's very well in tune with the mystical arts. He's also an avatar for this very big, powerful force in the Marvel Universe. His wife in this series is actually a new recruit of the opposing side. And so it's an interesting dynamic when they start talking about the future of their relationship. Like, hey, they have to essentially be at war with each other, so this marriage cannot last. He wants to continue it. She also wants to continue it, but she also wants to further her own dreams and be with the person she's meant to be. What's cool about this is all the magical users are summoned to the Library of Worlds, which again is this other realm that Hickman has created over his runs. And it's every powerful magic user, smart person in the entire Marvel Universe getting together, talking about this new Babylon event, an event that essentially is going to wipe out the universe. And there's this other evil sorcerer out there that's doing some nasty crap, and they need to all team up against this person and figure it all out. And through a series of tricks, very reminiscent of what Constantine would do in certain situations, tricking people, trading, making these weird deals, things like that, that seemingly benefit him, but overall end up saving the day. There's a lot of that cool stuff going on, and I think it was executed in a very clever way. I totally dug it. There's a lot of cool characters in here. The art is absolutely amazing. Lots of interesting battles, tons of characters, and this book will take you a while to get through. It is extra long, so I totally dug G.O.D.S #1. Did you guys read it? What'd you guys think? Next, we're going to jump into some Star Wars. We got High Republic. What is this one called? Shadow of Starlight, issue #1. Soul is on this. It's been a minute since I've read a Star Wars book. This one is actually reminiscing on this big beacon, the Starlight beacon that was destroyed, presumably in the previous arc of High Republic. I did not read it, but that's what you can ascertain from the first few pages here. All the Jedi from all around the galaxy has been summoned back to one single location to kind of regroup, trying to figure out what exactly is going on. There is this monster or something like that that can actually hunt down Jedi. So they're trying to tread lightly right now and trying to figure things out. Yoda brings in this former ally who kind of lost his way, went to the dark side, but he's learned a whole lot about this enemy. So it's kind of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend type of situation. He comes in against the council's recommendation just to kind of give them some knowledge about what kind of stuff they're up against. And Yoda starts doing some deep diving into his mind through these different sessions to try to uncover the truth. And there's some sabotage stuff going on. It's a very interesting book. I had a good time reading this one. I actually went ahead and grabbed #2 or pre-ordered #2 because I like #1 so much. Did you guys read this one? And have you been reading High Republic and what you guys think about it so far? That's it for the big two. Let's jump into some indie books real quick. The Infield Gang Massacre, issue #3. Another solid book right here in the That Texas Blood universe. Of course, we have our Infield Gang kind of pinned down right now in this little town that they're running. They've been framed for murder, and that's what we're led to believe at this point. The newly appointed gun trigger happy sheriff and his crew are just like massacring all their people, has got them pinned down, and now it's up to our Infield Gang to figure out a way to get the innocent out of there, the women and children out of this town before the, like I said, trigger happy sheriff kind of takes them all out. They have this big plan in order to escape. They execute on this plan, and it goes kind of according to plan, but not necessarily. And there's this really cool moment at the very end where there's these other new characters that have been introduced, and they're almost like Ronins in the land right now. And we'll see if they're going to be friend or foe. So if you're into the first couple of issues with this, the action continues on with issue #3. Loved it. Check it out. All right. Daniel Warren Johnson's Transformers issue #1. The highly anticipated Transformers #1. Amazing cover art to the point where I went ahead and, like I mentioned on my haul video, I picked up A, B, C, and D because I just was like, dude, all these covers are amazing. I can't believe it. And so yeah, went ahead and picked it up. What did I think about this issue? I thought it was okay, honestly. I was not raised on Transformers, to be honest with you. I love the concept. I appreciate the toys. I like what's going on, but I am not well versed in the cartoon. I'm not well versed in the movies. I don't know all the characters. I don't know where this takes place, when this takes place, or if this happened after some battle that all you longtime diehard fans are aware of. And so there was a lot of things that were lost on me from a character relationship perspective, from a how did we get here perspective, and where we're going. But what I will say is Daniel Warren Johnson completely saves that whole thing with just the crazy awesome art and coloring on here. Good Lord, Mike Spicer on the coloring, absolutely destroying it, man. Loving that. So I just had a great time hanging on for the whole ride. You know what I mean? Lots of cool stuff happening in here. And there's a little bit of brutality in here too. This is a lot more action-packed, a lot more in your face, just crazy, crazy stuff. So I do like the fact that if you don't have a whole lot of familiarity with the story and the people and the characters and everything, you're still gonna have at least a good time reading the book. So that's where I'm at with Transformers #1. Let me know if you guys are diehard, long time, know everything about Transformers. What'd you guys think of this one? Let me know. Next book is from Dynamite. We have Vampirella Dead Flowers issue #1 with that homage cover right there. We have Sarah Frazetta on this and Bob Freeman. And this is my very first Vampirella book. So we're going to be getting into this, seeing what's going on. The first thing I liked was the interior art. It's very ghost-like. It's like black and white with a little splash of color here and there. There's also some homages to the Frazetta covers inside of here. We have Vampirella going around. She's actually been summoned to the last will and testimony of a rival of hers. And there's a lot of, he was a magic user, and she's just trying to figure out okay, what's he getting at? Because we were enemies back in the day. I don't know exactly what's going on. She actually gets wrapped up into some local trouble with this little girl and this werewolf and things like that. And it was a pretty cool book. The pacing was interesting. The art was really cool too. The story was, fine. And so, yeah, I'm actually excited for issue #2. I thought it was a pretty cool read. Long-term Vampirella fans, what'd you guys think? Then from Massive Whatnot, we have Plot Holes issue #2 from Sean Murphy. I loved issue #1. It was one of my favorite books of the month. Issue #2 continues very well. Interesting pacing with this. We get a lot of dialogue about who are these characters on this team. We get these one-page spreads, kind of introducing who they were, how they got here, things like that. So it gave us some much needed context for these other characters that are on this team. Now, of course, you get a little bit more context as well on the main person, some of the other members that used to be on the team, some of the sacrifices they made, and we get more narrative about how this whole system works. Their whole objective is to save these stories from being eaten by this bookworm that travels through. But if enough stuff in the story gets messed up, the book is essentially unsavable, and all those characters will end up dying. Whatever dying means in this world. And so we're getting to learn a little bit about that through them trying to save some of these worlds. So that's pretty cool. And our main character is taking it as well as you would think he would take stuff like that. He's actually pretty upset through most of this issue, but he's learning the rules. He's understanding what is necessary, the things that you need to do that are necessary, right? In other words, save who you can. And if you cannot save them, there reaches a moment where they're just unsavable and you have to move on to the next book and just kind of hope for the best. So this issue actually kind of reads like an issue #3. Lots of explanation, a little bit more character development. We understand who the team is, the different elements and things like that. So Plot Holes issue #2 I thought was really great. Continuing a strong run. Can't wait for #3. Godzilla War for Humanity. This is issue #2. Went ahead and picked this one up. This one came out a couple of weeks ago, but I wanted to jump in because I actually enjoyed issue #1 a lot. The first thing you're going to notice about this book, if you pick it up and read it, is the coloring, man. The coloring and the art is crazy. It really stands out. It's almost anime-ish or sketchbook kinds of art, but it's really awesome. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Basically, we have this one kaiju whose ability is he can kind of zombify other kaijus, and he's messing with some of the migration patterns of them, and he kind of subdues them and turns them over onto his side, and that they're kind of at his mercy, right? He can kind of control them in a way, and everybody needs Godzilla now to get off his island of seclusion and step up and actually start taking on some people. And there's some other kaijus out there that are going to help them do just that. So we got to get Godzilla into the game. We have this other kaiju taking over other kaijus, and they're destroying these cities and towns. We need Godzilla. Where is he? We're trying to get him right now in issue #2. Issue 3 should be insane. So guys, that's everything I read this week. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know down below in the comments what you read and what your favorite books of the week were. While you're down there, hit that like button, check out the subscribe button if you haven't yet, and click the join button. I would really appreciate it. But as always, thank you again for watching. See you in the comments.